Hi, this is Ken Albertson. I'm recording this at the very end of January 2021. Um, Recently, I spoke about the CIA and how they waste money, but that's just one federal agency out of many, dozens and dozens, all of whom waste money incredibly. It's like a ratchet effect. You know, every year their budget goes up, never goes down. Same with the number of personnel, never goes down. Uh, just to point out another federal agency, the DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency, their $35.5 billion budget annually. Of course, it goes up every year. That's the latest number. What is that? About $100 million per day, 7 days a week, every day of the year. What do they do for that money? So it's just, and that's just one of many agencies, many of whom are under the Justice Department. So I mentioned before how there's two men in particular who debilitated the CIA and its operations for nearly 20 years, from the late 50s to the early 70s. And you might think, well, what does that have to do with what's happening today, decades later? Well, it has a lot to do, because the same sort of mentality that wastes money and creates problems for let's say, the CIA back several decades ago is still going on. If you follow the news, you'll know that there was an incredibly large breach of security documents done by the Russians to the Americans just recently. In the past few months, it was found out. It probably had been going on for many months before that. And it wasn't a government agency that found out. It was a private organization in the U.S. that found that out. So they're doing very bad jobs overall. These two men, there was an American named Angleton and a Russian who was his closest advisor named Golitsin. And they were like co-conspirators, if you will. They were hyper paranoid. And that's, okay, to do their job of finding counteragents and moles and things, you've got to be somewhat paranoid. But these men were very extreme. They were both drunkards, especially Angleton, who drank, some people say, 2 bottles of bourbon by himself every night. And then he drank a lot of the same garbage during the day. So here he was a drunkard on the job, getting paid a salary paid by taxpayers, and with that salary, he was debilitating the CIA by unfairly prosecuting good agents, both in the U.S. and agents from overseas, and at the same time not giving credence to bona fide Soviet agents who would come over and on their own volition, and they would want to volunteer a whole lot of really useful information for the CIA. That's basically what the CIA is they're just handling information, okay? And then they boil it down, and then they give the president a summary of what they think is the most important information. Unfortunately, with Trump in power for 4 years, he didn't even bother to read that. Or if he did, he would, it was well known among everybody who dealt with him, he didn't want to read anything bad about Russia. So if there was anything bad in the CIA intelligence report, they just wouldn't include it in the report to Trump. Now, the thing about being a drunkard is it's very ironic. In the United States, you can get in serious trouble if you drive a car and get caught having had one strong drink. Doesn't matter whether you've had an accident or not. Just having that alcohol in your blood system, getting caught, can get you in serious trouble. Well, and then compare that to running a large multi-billion-dollar organization, spends like $100 million a day, and being drunk. So here you are, you can't drive a car down the street, but you can run a giant federal corporation agency and be drunk off your horse. So that's the sort of thing that needs to be looked at. There's this proposal I have called the 15% solution, and what that is 15% of all money, all taxpayer money given to federal agencies and employees should be just cut right off the top. 15% off the top of everything. Social Security, military benefits, salaries for Congress people, food programs, everything. And you know, everybody who gets affected by that, who's working in the federal government, getting taxpayer money, is going to scream bloody murder. Because every single person is going to say, well, you can cut the other people, don't cut my salary, don't cut my budget, because it's so important. Well, let me show you how important that is. When a federal government program, or when the federal government says they run out of money, which they do every year or two, they do you miss any of the programs? No, neither do I. You know, if one of the three-letter programs, acronym programs, quits functioning for a week or a month or 2 months, do you miss that? Is it a danger to the USA? No, it's not. So, you know, they're sure some of what they do is important and useful, but most of the money they get budgeted is just wasted, just pissed down the drain. It's, you know, they buy themselves SUVs and weapons or whatever. Okay, I'm going to sign off now. My name's Ken Albertson. I have a website called adventure1.com. That's the word adventure with a numeral 1. You're welcome to check it out. I have books there that I've written on a bunch of different topics. If you want to do a book review, you're welcome to do so, even if you don't like the book. I really appreciate getting reviews. Similarly, if you want to write a comment on this blog here, you'll be my guest, okay? Tell me I'm wrong if you think I'm wrong, but then back it up by some evidence, because everything I say, I've researched, and so. But I'm also prepared to be proven wrong. If you can prove me wrong, great. Okay, I'm going to sign off now from southernmost part of the USA. Bye-bye.